If you are involved in a personal injury accident, how long should your case take? Well, here to give us some answers is Mark Parrish from Catania. And Catania, good to see you again, Mark.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
I know this question gets asked a lot. Of course, I can see why people would want to know, all right, how long is this going to take?
It does, and it is actually the first question and the most important question I get asked by almost every client that walks into our office. And unfortunately, I have to give the same answer every time, which is it depends.
Yeah.
And no attorney really knows. And it depends really on a number of factors. I can tell you the initial factor that causes the upfront delay is medical treatment. And what happens is a lot of time following an accident, you go to the hospital. Or you go to the doctor and they tell you to follow up with an orthopedist or a neurologist. But oftentimes it's difficult for them to decipher whether or not you have any permanency to your injury. And so in order for them to figure out, well, has this person incurred a permanent injury, can sometimes take 6, 8, 10 months for them to make that decision.
Wow. Well, once that decision is made, does then it kind of speed up afterwards, or can it still, are there still some road bumps that can happen after that as well?
There's always going to be roadblocks ahead, but it is absolutely necessary to try and get a lawsuit filed almost immediately.
Okay.
And so oftentimes I recommend to clients that if a doctor finds that you do have a permanent injury from a motor vehicle accident, that we file the lawsuit as soon as possible. And the reason is because you've already waited that 6 to 8 month period while you're seeking medical treatment. And oftentimes the courts are just so inundated with lawsuits that there's going to be an additional delay. And so in order to try and avoid that, I say, hey, let's get the lawsuit filed because we know it can take another 12 to 18 months before you actually have a trial on your case.
Can we touch a little bit on permanent injuries? Because I thought this was interesting on kind of what that's considered, and I think maybe people have misconceptions about that.
Correct. And so what happens is as somebody injured in a motor vehicle accident in the state of Florida, you have to meet the tort threshold. And what that means is in order to bring a lawsuit, you have to have a permanent injury. Now, there's no clear definition. We can't go to the dictionary and look it up and say, what's a permanent injury?
That would be too easy.
And so obviously, as attorneys and for my clients, we defer to the doctors to sort of make that decision for us.
Okay. What should people really know when it comes to kind of when they're laying everything out? I know in previous segments we've talked about making sure things are done in a timely way. Obviously, that's going to make sure that you're speeding up the process as best as possible. Any other advice in making sure that everything is in line, ready to go?
It's very difficult because you run up against these constant roadblocks, whether it's the delay in medical treatment or the fact that it's delayed through just the backlog in the court system. Another huge delay that we encounter oftentimes is with the insurance companies. And so what happens is the insurance companies generate profit from delay. And it becomes, as attorneys, very difficult for us. Because what they do is they have their insureds come in and they pay their insurance premiums. Well, that's how they generate their profit. And so they invest these insurance premiums as part of their revenue. And so they sort of have incentive to take their time.
As we close here, we wrap up, I would imagine too, this is why it is so important to have a team who knows what they're doing because of all these roadblocks. Correct?
It is. And oftentimes early on in a case, the insurance companies are very unrealistic with their settlement figures. And so it's important to have an attorney who's willing to come in, advocate, push to get your case moving along, because oftentimes you won't see good hard numbers until a case gets closer to trial.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We always learn so much from you and your team. If you have any questions, this is where you guys step in and you say, you know what, we can answer those. There's the number to call, the website as well. And we look forward to seeing you again soon, okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
Sounds good.